Welcome to Intro to Programming with C++. Right now I'm looking at how to generate random numbers. Uh, First, a caveat here. Computers really do not do anything randomly, but they pretend that this is really pseudo-random, where they're generating a number that looks and acts like a random number. And there are different ways that it's done. We'll look at one here, which is good enough for most purposes. So right now, I created a little program here just to demonstrate a random number. I'm not doing any use yet, but just putting one into a program. So I have pound include IO stream for input and output, and now I also have pound include cstdlib. C standard library is what I think. So I have the standard library header file that gives us access to this function, the random number generator function. So here I created a variable type integer and I'm having it store in a random number. So now I'm printing out that random number. The random number is R. Let's run this and see what happens. Random number is 41. Nice. Let's create a couple random numbers. We have R1 and R2. So R1 will be our first random number. I'm just going to copy, paste. R2 will be the second random number, and I'm going to copy and paste. R1, R2, build, run. And I have 41 and 18,467. That's interesting. My random number last time was also 41. Let's try it again. 41 and 18,467. Those do seem like two unrelated numbers, but as I keep running it, they do not appear very random at all. In fact, every time I run the program, I get the same pair of random numbers. That is not random at all. That's because this random function is dependent on a seed value, and I'm not seeding the function. But I have the problem. I could seed the function, give it a starting value, but then I'd be seeding with the starting value every time I do this. This is a difficulty with computers. How does it do something randomly when it can't do anything randomly? It really has to only follow through the commands that you give it exactly as you give them the commands. Well, what I'm going to do to fix this is access the system clock. The system clock is changing. So I'm going to include the header file ctime as well. Just add in another pound include. You can have as many header files as you want. The header files just give you access to different programming features. Now, before I do any of this work, here I'm going to seed the random function. I'm not always good about remembering my comments, but put it in this time. So I'll give you a couple of lines. This is not the only way you can seed a random function, but these lines you could actually copy character for character as they are at the start of a program where you want to do something random. And it should work for you. So now I'm seeding this according to the system clock, and then running through and generating random numbers. Let's see what happens. I hope this works. 5368 and 10,980. Yay. Let's try it again though. 5391, 20,683. 5407, 8889. Now, I am getting different numbers, but there are some patterns to it. That's because this is not actually random. It's running through a little function over and over again to make it look and act like it's random. One way I can make it look and act a little more random is actually just run the random function a few more times. These are some tricks. And I am putting more than one program line on the same line, more than one program statement on the same line. That's okay. Now, okay, they're starting to look different each time I run it. This is acting more like random numbers. So really, I'm not getting random numbers. I'm getting things that act like random numbers, which is good enough for my purposes. Um, One more thing I want to do with random numbers while we're looking at this. Often you're creating a game, you might want a random number between 1 and 6 so that you have a 6-sided die or a 20-sided die, 1 and 20, or you want to pick a random number between 0 and 99, or you want to pick, well, you get the idea, heads or tails, random number 0 or 1. Well, there's a quick way to do this. Use the modulus. This is one of the great uses of the modulus function, operator, I should say. So I'm putting that in there, percent symbols to stand for modulus. And what I'll do is simulate that the first random number will be a number on a 6-sided die. The second will be on a 20-sided die. So if I divide by 6 and keep a remainder, I'm going to get an answer between 0 and 5. I really want between 1 and 6, so I'm going to add 1 as well. I'd like a space in there. Let's run this. 5 and 10, good, let's try it again. 5 and 6, let's try it again. 3 and 2, I think I got it. 2 and 11. Now I've got a couple of dice simulated with random, so pseudo-random number generator.